Holy shit. He has a gun or a knife. Oh my god, he shot somebody! Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Oh my god.
In July 2001, Jeanine Sanchez's life took a tragic turn when she vanished after a date, leaving investigators to focus on two suspects. But did they pursue the right leads? 3 years later, a shocking murder-suicide rocked the San Jose area, adding a devastating twist to Jeanine's case. Join us as we explore the unthinkable truths that surfaced following Jeanine's disappearance. For today's case, we are visiting the San Jose area in California, which is just south of San Francisco, where Jeanine Sanchez was born and raised alongside her two older brothers, Craig and Wayne, by Daunton parents Jess and Georgette. From all accounts, Jeanine had a happy childhood, and the loving family remained very close-knit, even into adulthood. From a young age, Jeanine had always been extremely extroverted and sociable, with a love to host slumber parties. She attended Prospect High School, where she'd been described as well-liked, very popular, fashionable and responsible. And after graduating, she pursued a bachelor's degree in liberal arts at San Jose State University, and later secured a job at a local high-tech company, Admal Corporation, where she worked for 12 years, steadily climbing the ranks. I'm unsure of the exact dates, but Jeanine went on to marry Randy Harms, a tall blonde man that was just her type. However, they divorced amicably around 1999 or 2000, after which Jeanine chose to use her maiden name, Sanchez. After the breakup, she moved in with her parents for a short time, then with her best friend Janice, before settling into her own place in the safe neighbourhood of Los Gatos. On the warm evening of the 27th of July 2001, Jeanine reunited with Janice, her best friend of over 2 decades, at Buca di Beppo, an Italian restaurant nestled in the Pruneyard shopping centre in Campbell. During their meal, Jeanine expressed her dread for the date that she had scheduled later that night. So, long story short, Jeanine had met 39-year-old Alex Wilson several weeks earlier while she was out with her friends. While she was then handing out a business card to one of her new acquaintances, Alex intercepted the card. Although she initially found him quite attractive, this obnoxious encounter and his personality instantly turned her off. Alex then phoned Jeanine numerous times, but eventually she reluctantly agreed to meet him, only to stand him up. Her friends have said that she always had a hard time saying no. Jeanine then felt bad for standing him up, so she lied to him, saying that she ran into a family emergency and she rearranged to get drinks that night on the 27th of July. Hoping she could let him down gently, Jeanine tried asking Janice to tag along on the date, but unfortunately, Janice already had plans. Jeanine and Janice parted ways, and Jeanine made her way just across the road to Rock Bottom Brewery at around 7 p.m. to meet Alex. However, Alex was nowhere to be seen, so Jeanine just grabbed herself a drink, and a female friend spotted her and invited her to join her group of friends. The female was having a few drinks with her architect colleagues following work, one of which was 43-year-old Maurice Nasmer. Alex finally arrived half an hour late and was annoyed to find Jeanine with a group of other people, a bit rich after turning up late to the date. Maybe Jeanine actually preferred this setting with multiple others around her, given her reluctance about meeting up with Alex in the first place. It's believed that Jeanine then invited both Alex and Maurice back to her home, but only Maurice accepted. Maurice followed Jeanine home in his green Jeep Cherokee, and the two stopped at a convenience store to grab some beers to share, before finally arriving at Jeanine's home between 10:30 and 11 p.m. Maurice later claimed that Jeanine became sleepy, so asked him to leave once he was sober enough to drive, and she fell asleep on the sofa. He stayed for around another hour or so before leaving around 12:30 and 1 a.m. the next morning. Janice called Jeanine on her glittery flip-up cell phone over the rest of the weekend, but all the calls went unanswered, so she just left a voicemail. Janice started to grow really concerned, as Jeanine would always return her call, but she heard nothing. When Monday came around and Janice still hadn't heard from Jeanine, she was especially worried, so she thought she'd try calling Janine's work. But they too expressed their concerns, as she didn't show up for work that morning, and it was so out of character for her not to show up without any prior warning, or to just vanish at all with no explanation. Next, she reached out to Janine's landlord, who said she hadn't seen her since Friday. Police were then called. When arriving at Janine's home, her car was still on the driveway, and upon entering, nothing seemed amiss initially. Records showed that her home was really neat and tidy, but Janice felt it was far too tidy, especially for having had company on the Friday night. Jeanine had lived with Janice for that short period and seen how she would live. Whenever she did have company, she'd leave out glasses or bottles from the night before, and there'd also be CDs left out that she'd been trying to choose from. Then when they entered the living area, they discovered the cushions from the sofa missing, like the part that you actually sit on, which is definitely really strange. Then what would later be the most important piece to solving the case was also discovered missing: Janine's cherished red and blue Persian-style rug. Jeanine loved her Persian rug, and it was displayed in front of the sofa, so the room just felt bare when Janice walked in and immediately noticed it gone. A latch hook rug that Jeanine had been working on was also missing, along with the slipcover from the sofa, her purse, her keys, and her phone. There was also no sign of those beers that Maurice and Jeanine had purchased from the convenience store that night. Although these missing items were strange and concerning, there was no signs of a struggle inside her home, nor a presence of blood, so police classified Jeanine Sanchez as a missing person, which remained that way for the next 6 months. The case was initially managed by Los Gatos police, who are said to have had very little experience with homicides, and since they ruled it a strange disappearance, the scene wasn't well preserved, with many people walking through it. A neighbour later reported hearing a banging noise coming from Janine's home just after midnight, and when looking out the window, noticed a bald man, possibly in his 40s, who matched Maurice's description. He was leaving her home and what looked like leaving the neighbourhood. Police began retracing Janine's steps from that Friday night, speaking to anyone who may have interacted with her. They searched nearby reservoirs and trails, used dogs to search surrounding parks, and handed out flyers. Janine's date, Alex Wilson, became the primary suspect that police focused on. They impounded his car, served a search warrant for his home, and collected a DNA sample, but there was no evidence at all to implicate him for Janine's disappearance. But once his name was revealed to the media, the public was so sceptical that Alex had been investigated thoroughly, as his father was a prominent political figure in that area. But with nothing to connect him, police cleared Alex as a suspect. Despite the widespread news coverage, Maurice remained silent. Police became aware of him when lifting fingerprints from the passenger side of Janine's Ford Mustang. His prints were already in the database due to 2 previous offences, both of which had purged with age. Maurice had a history of violence towards women, especially when intoxicated by alcohol. Police brought him in for questioning, and he was initially really cooperative, sharing that the two had smoked in the parking lot before he followed Jeanine home after her offer, of course, stopped at the convenience store for beers, which they later drank in Janine's home, while talking and just chilling out together. As we already know, he then claimed that Jeanine fell asleep on the sofa and he later left. Janice, Janine's best friend, has also since said that Jeanine would never have gone to sleep with, let's face it, some strange man in her home that she doesn't even know. And then those missing beers from earlier, Maurice also shared that he'd taken those, He took 2 empty and 4 full. I don't know if they were cans or bottles, which, although not criminal, investigators did find it to be really strange. But then, after questioning, Maurice hired an attorney and stopped assisting in the case altogether. Police obtained a search warrant for both Maurice's home and car and collected DNA samples. Despite their efforts, though, once again, just like with Alex, nothing connected Maurice to Jeanine's disappearance. The case then tragically went cold for quite a while, but her family didn't lose hope and remained determined to seek justice and answers. The case finally reached a little breakthrough 2 years later in 2003, when police released a photo to the public of the missing Persian-style rug, asking if anyone might have seen this particular rug. Amazingly, a woman called in. She said, "Yeah, I found a rug exactly like that by a dumpster near a commercial construction area. I took it home, washed it, I still have it." The rug was discovered to be key evidence in this case. Police couldn't believe their luck. They retrieved it and learned that it was found only half a mile from none other than Maurice Nasma's home. The fibres of the rug matched those found in Maurice's car 2 years prior, finally linking him to the case. Months went by though, while police sought sufficient evidence to charge Maurice for the murder of Jeanine Sanchez, despite not ever finding her remains. Although circumstantial, they felt they finally had a case and arrested him in December 2004. Police theorised that during the night of Jeanine's home, Maurice attempted to engage sexually, leading to a violent confrontation when she rejected him, leading to her murder. Jeanine's friends stated Maurice was far from her type. They believe he wrapped her body in the Persian-style rug and put it in his green SUV, later disposing of her body, phone and purse, along with the other items, including the sofa cushions and cover and the 2 rugs. It's theorised that the cushions may have had Jeanine's DNA on, leading to his need to dispose of them. Maurice, however, denies all of these allegations and claims that he had no part in Jeanine's disappearance. He also claims there was no sexual activity. The prosecution were taking quite a while gathering evidence to create a case they thought was sure to win. But during this time, and while Maurice was sat in jail awaiting trial, his defence discovered flaws with the fibre analysis. The scientists conducting the fibre examination had failed that part of their certification. Therefore, the outcome of their ruling was deemed unreliable. The state then had to find a credible scientist to re-evaluate the fibre testing. Unfortunately, this process took a crazy amount of time, in which time the judge looked at Maurice's case in 2007, nearly 3 years after being arrested. The judge determined Maurice had been sat in jail for far too long, and it was against his right of a timely trial, so was ultimately released in June 2007. This, however, was with the stipulation that he was still being charged, but prosecution had 60 days to move forward with their trial, or the charges would be dropped. Tragically, 60 days was not enough time for the fibre retesting to come through, so the charges were dropped, leaving Jeanine's family absolutely devastated. They really believed that Maurice was guilty, as did the investigators. Another 4 years went by, which can I just say is an absolutely crazy amount of time to me, that the retesting results weren't completed well before then. I don't have any clue how long these types of things take generally, but surely it could have been done in much less time than that. But anyway, 4 years on the 15th of January 2011, the case took a wild and horrific turn. Jeanine's brother Wayne, who's 52, was at the bar in Red Robin in El Paso Shopping Centre watching the hockey when by chance he noticed Maurice Nasma, now 46 years old, walk in with a friend or potentially even a date and sat down near Wayne. Imagine seeing the man you are sure killed your sister just walking free, living life, essentially getting away with murder, and now potentially with another woman. Wayne couldn't get over the fact that his little sister was still out there somewhere and that no one had been charged for what could now only be assumed to be her murder. He was upset that authorities couldn't get closure on the case. On top of this, life had become sidetracked with a divorce and bankruptcy, both adding to the building frustration. Wayne then confronted Maurice, accusing him of murdering his sister before briefly leaving the restaurant and then returned shortly after. Maurice then left the Red Robin and walked over the parking lot to Pete's Coffee. Wayne followed him. Wayne confronted Maurice once again, exchanging a few words, but this time he pulled out a gun. He took the justice for his sister into his own hands and fatally shot Maurice, causing the coffee shop to just erupt in chaos.
San Jose Emergency, what are you reporting?
Hi, I need somebody escorted out of my store right away. He's causing problems.
Okay, Mike, is he fighting with people?
Yeah, he's fighting with somebody right now.
Okay, is it a physical fight or verbal?
Verbal.
What is the address we need to come out to?
Oh, holy shit.
What is the address?
Or a gun. He has a gun or a knife.
Okay.
Okay.
Stay on the phone. What's the address?
Okay. The address is 1330 El Paseo de Saratoga.
Now, what makes you think he has a gun or a knife?
He just pulled it out.
Okay, but there's a difference. There's a gun. Okay, stay on the phone.
Go. In the bathroom. Go.
Okay, and so this guy...
Oh my God, he shot somebody! Oh my God! Holy shit!
Okay.
Okay.
Sam, are you safe?
Yeah, we're in the bathroom. Walk in the bathroom.
Okay, so this guy, is he white, black, Hispanic, or Asian?
White.
How old does he look? How old?
What?
How old does he look?
40.
40? Is he tall, short, or medium for a man?
Medium.
Heavy, thin, or medium?
Heavy, thin, or medium.
Come on.
Is he heavy?
Come on.
He's wearing a giant sweater and a shark's hat.
A giant sweater and...
What is it? Giant sweater and giant hat.
And a giant's hat. Not a shark's, but a giant's baseball cap?
Yeah.
You saw somebody get shot, or you just heard him fire the gun?
Is somebody shot? Yes, somebody is shot.
Okay. So the guy who shot, is it a male or a female?
I don't know.
Okay. Do we have any age or anything like that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't go out there.
I don't want you to, but I've got units on their way. I want a good description of this guy so we catch him, okay?
Lock the doors, please.
Listen, we've got units in the area, okay?
Yeah,
I don't want anybody getting hurt, so if you're in a safe place, I want you to stay there, all right? Okay, where are you at right now?
We're in the back room. I'm in the back room, but he's gone.
Okay, he left?
He's gone, but somebody is shot.
Okay. So the guy that's shot, is it male or female?
Is it a guy or is it male or female that's shot? Male.
Male? Okay, the police are there now. And what is your name, hon? You know, talk to the officers, okay? Thank you for calling.
Okay, thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
As the police arrived, another gunshot could be heard in the parking lot. Wayne had took his own life, leaving behind 2 daughters and a grandson. His uncle remembers Wayne saying on multiple occasions, "I hope I never run into him." 7 months later, in August 2011, came another tragic twist. The retesting of the fibres was complete, confirming the original ruling as correct. The fibres in Maurice's Jeep were a match to Jeanine's rug. 13 fibres found in the cargo area matched the Persian rug, and a further 14 fibres from Jeanine's latch hook project were also found in his Jeep. Maurice would have finally been charged with Jeanine's murder, allowing justice to be made, but since he was now dead, police closed the case. None of the other missing items were ever found, and to this day, Jeanine's remains have also never been found. The girl that introduced Jeanine to Maurice has said that she has been haunted ever since, and feels that she is to blame. Many question if the testing had been done quicker, would both Maurice and Wayne still be here today? Maybe their tragic fate could have been prevented. Defendants are given the right to a speedy trial, but surely victims of the families also deserve the same right with a speedy analysis. But like I've said, I don't know the timings of these procedures. Many also argued that releasing Maurice potentially put other women at risk. Jeanine's mother, Georgette, described her daughter as the spark of the family. She was vivacious, smart and funny, with a love of fitness and fashion, and ironically, always seeing the best in people. Jeanine's family have always held their breath each time a body is found, in hopes of one day finding Jeanine. The Sanchez family have been through so much heartache, between first losing their daughter and not knowing what happened to her or knowing where she is, to then also losing one of their sons, all in attempts to seek some form of justice for Jeanine. Their parents, Jess and Georgette, have both also sadly passed in recent years, without ever receiving the closure that they so badly deserved. I hope that the Sanchez family can rest peacefully, and that their loved ones can heal from this absolutely horrific ordeal.